as you can see at the top, for your title today of what you're going to be doing, it says that you're going to rename fractions and mixed numbers. And if you remember, we have mixed number as one of our vocabulary words over here. We will talk about it here in just a second. Let's read what they're asking us to do. Mr. Fox has 2 and 3/6 loaves of cornbread. Each loaf was cut into 1/6 size pieces. If he has 14 people over for dinner, is there enough bread for each person to have 1 piece? So there is your question. If he has 14 people over for dinner, is there enough bread for each person to have 1 piece? Go ahead and get the whole sentence highlighted. If we need to circle something in there, we can also do that. All right, what are the numbers that we need to be circling, that we need to use to figure this out? We need to know that he has 2 and 3/6 loaves of cornbread. What else do we need to know? Cheyenne? Okay, so they're in 1/6 size pieces. And what else, Fred? We gotta know that there's gonna be 14 people there for dinner. So we'll just circle it in the highlighting we had done before. Okay. So, a mixed number is a number that is represented by a whole number and a fraction. So this 2 and 3/6 is considered to be a mixed number. It has a whole number, which is 2, and a fraction, which is 3/6. And everybody remember that that's called a mixed number. Okay? So, over here in the right, it says, what is the size of 1 piece of bread that is relative to the whole? Well, we have to think about what size of pieces we have and what one of the pieces would be. So what is my whole here? Aiden? 6/6. So what would 1 piece of bread be? Logan? 1/6. It's going to be 1/6 of the whole. So we're going to write 1/6 of the whole. Basically what it's asking of us is, what is 1 piece out of the entire thing? So it is 1/6 of the whole. That's what relative to the whole means to you. Then it wants to know, how much bread does Mr. Fox need for 14 people? Okay, we're going to fill this in, okay, in a second. I want to talk to you about how do I know what they're asking me here. Look down here. To find how many 1/6 size pieces are in 2 and 3/6, we're going to write 2 and 3/6 as a fraction. Right now it is a mixed number, so we have to make it into a fraction. Okay? So take a look down here. Remind me to go back and take care of this. Okay? So look at what they're showing you here. You're going to model your 2 and 3/6. Look what they did. 2 wholes. 3 6-size pieces. See how that's working? Yes? So I have 1 whole plus 1 whole plus what over here? 3/6. So they're breaking that up. Okay? Now it says find out how many 1/6 size pieces are in each whole. Okay, so how many 1/6 size pieces would be in a whole? 6, 6, yes? So that's what's going to go here. And if you notice, they changed their model, and they wrote all of the 6s down here underneath the whole. So now we're going to model that 2 and 3/6 using only the 6 size pieces. So what's the other whole? 6, 6 as well. And what do they have over here? Still have the 3/6 left over here, correct? Now, when you put it all into the same size fractions or the same denominators, you're easily going to be able to do your addition of fractions like we've been doing the past couple of days. So we're going to find the total number of 1/6 size pieces in 2 and 3/6. So when I do this, what do I get total? 15, because 6 and 6 is 12, plus 3 is 15, and my denominator is still 6. So, these two things are equal to each other. 2 and 3/6 is the same thing as 15/6. Now, before, we've talked about how our numerator is always going to be smaller. Well, that was the case with what we were doing before. Now look at the numerator. It's bigger. Okay, now I want to show you a little trick real fast. If you look here and see that you have 6 on the bottom of your fraction, which is your size of pieces, correct? And you take it times the whole, which is 2, what do you get? 12. And when you add the numerator, you get 15. What did we have? We have 15. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. It's the same thing as what I just figured out by putting them all into 6. So there are multiple ways you can do this. You can do it like we did with the model, or you can do that little trick I showed you with multiplication and addition. Okay? So now let's go back up here. How much bread does Mr. Fox need for 14 people if we're in 6? He would need 14/6, yes? So you're going to write 14/6. You could also have said 14/6 size pieces. Same thing, right? That's a lot easier to write out than it is to say 14/6 size pieces. You can just say 14/6. So take a look at what we figured. Okay, there were how many 6 size pieces in 2 and 3/6? 15. So does he have enough bread? Yes, he does. So it says there is enough bread for 14 people to each have 1 piece. Okay, look down there at the map, talk real fast. How can I write 1 and 1/4 as a fraction without using my model? I just taught it to you. How many of you remember what I said? See lots of hands. Let's see if you remember. Morgan, what did I tell you to try? So I'm looking at 1 and 1/4. How do I put this into a fraction without having to draw out a model? Okay, how do I do that? Which numbers do I use? Got 1 and 1. What did we start with? The size of the pieces, which is 4. And then I take it times 1, and I get 4. And then what do I do? I add the extra 1 that I have on top of my fraction, and I get what? 4 times 1 is plus 1 is 5, so 5 will be on the top. What still stays on the bottom? The amount of the size of your pieces. You with me? Yeah, that's the trick. That makes your life a lot easier than having to draw out a model. If you need to draw out a model, it's still there. I'm not going to say you can't. But this is a lot easier, right? Okay, let's flip, see what else they have. Now we're going to write a fraction that's greater than 1 as a mixed number. How do I know that this is a fraction greater than 1? If I'm looking at this, I went back for a second, but you're fine staying there where you are. How do I know that 5/4 is a fraction greater than 1? Logan, what tells me so? Because your top number is greater than your bottom number, or your numerator is greater than your denominator. You will know that this is a fraction greater than 1 when your numerator is higher than your denominator. Did everybody hear me say that? Okay, let's try to remember that so we have it easier on this page. So we're going to turn those fractions greater than 1 into the mixed number, which is where you started with 2 and 3/6 or whatever it was. Okay? So, to weave a bracelet, Charlene needs 7 pieces of brown thread. Each piece of thread must be a 1/3 yard long. How much thread should she buy to weave the bracelet? So So what's your question? Say it out loud with me, please. How much thread should she buy to weave the bracelet? Now, if you notice, your number is she needs 7 pieces of brown thread, and each one is going to be 1/3 yard long. Now, take a look at what they wrote. Have to have 7 pieces, and they're going to be 1/3 yards long, so they wrote it into 7/3. That is your fraction greater than 1. Say it with me. Fraction greater than 1. We're going to turn it in to a mixed number. That's where you're going to have a whole number and a fraction with it. Okay? So take a look at what they modeled for you. There's your 7/3. You look over here, they did 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, all the way to 7/3. So your thirds are staying the same, right? The only number that's changing is on the top of your fraction. Okay? So if you look here, what am I going to put in each one of these? What am I adding each time? In 1/3. So I'm going to write 1/3 in here each time. 1/3 plus 1/3. How many times am I going to do this? 7 of them. Now we're going to figure out how many wholes are in 7/3, and then how many thirds are going to be left over. That's going to how you're going to find your mixed fraction. So we know that in thirds, what does it take to get 1 whole? 3 of them, right? So if you look here, they have put 3 of these together. So that makes a whole. So that goes here. And then they took 3 more and they put them together. And that makes another whole. And then can they do that again? So what do they have left? They have the fraction of 1/3 left. So now we're going to write it as a mixed number. How many wholes did we have? So your whole number is 2. And what is the fraction you had left over? 1/3. So that means Charlene could buy how much yards of thread, or how many? 2 and 1/3. So you changed 7/3 to 2 and 1/3. Now another way of thinking of this is you know that it takes 3/3, right? So 3/3 is 1, 6/3 is 2, and what do I have left? Another third, same way, right? So something to think about without having to draw a model. Okay? It's not bad to draw a model. Sometimes it's a little easier if you don't have to. All right, let's look down here. Got lots of stuff going on in the share and show question down here. We're going to write the unknown numbers. We're going to write mixed numbers above the number line and our fractions greater than 1 below the number line, so you can see some things that match up. Okay? So if you notice, they start out with 1. 6 6 is equal to 1. So if they have 1 and 1/6, how many 6 am I going to have in a fraction? 7/6. So that's what's going to go there. So what am I going to have in the next mixed fraction following 1 and 1/6? 1 and 2/6. Do you see the pattern so far? Now again, I can use what I taught you. The 6 times 1 is 6 plus 2 is 8. 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. No. So 6 times 1, 6 plus 2 is 8. You see how it matches? All right, I want you and your partner to fill in the box